Okay, well, fuck it. Yeah, I tried to record a video like a couple of times for this. It's like it's basically just like a theory crafting numbers video. Um, and I have to use display capture, which I don't really like to do because I'm trying to show the spreadsheet and the game, and swapping between the sources crashed my obs like fucking 3 times. Actually, I only did it twice, but we'll see if it crashes again. Fuck it, right? Anyway, I don't want to make this like way too complicated. Like, my math in this is like sketchy. It's somewhat accurate, but it's not like 100%. And it's a scuffed way of doing what I did. So I think I'll just say what I did. What I did was I compiled a list of. So first I identified 2 stats that I wanted to get. Well, I got 2 stats that I wanted to get. That's what I wanted to do. Haste and verse. And then I looked at all the gear that I could get in the game from dungeons or raids. I can't calc PvP. And then I just picked the ones that I could get. It's like, I didn't really put like any sort of pressure on doing main stat, like one stat is higher than the other necessarily. So like this ring is, I think it's verse big. I think it's big verse. Where is it? Yeah, it's big verse. So like, and then the other one is, where is it? Big haste. And it's like, ideally, I don't really know which I would go for, but I'm just looking at what I can get, and the fact of the matter is there's only 3 haste verse rings in the game. 4, sorry, there's 4, I believe. I don't remember where there's, is it Motherlode? There's another dungeon that has a haste verse ring, and then there's one off of, what's his name? Sorry, not in the game, because once again, I don't know the PvP, but there's one off his fucking N'Zoth drop, so I don't think these do it. Anyway, I think it's here somewhere. I don't remember where. Maybe it's not. Okay, apparently there's only 3 in the entire game, unless I miscounted. Anyway, one is King's Rest, one is a Tall, and I have them listed here. So basically, I compiled a list of my gear. Ideally, this is like a theory crafted, yes. Omega Genius, plotting, planning. These are all the Azurite pieces. 2 of them you can buy with Titan Residium. One of them, this is from Vexiana. I did a calculation using a method, which I'll explain in a second, to get a bunch of stats. So right now on live, because we've been in the patch for so long, I could have looked up characters who have these items and just maybe 475, 465, it doesn't really matter, honestly. This just worked better for my math, but I could have found characters to get the exact stats. These are not exact stats. These are estimated stats. But theoretically, when Shadowlands comes around, or any new expansion comes out, or any game where you don't have like a well-developed meta or system, this is a way to accomplish getting these numbers without necessarily having the raw facts in front of you. I also did not want to go look up everything, and I thought this would be more fun for me at least to pass some time because I'm kind of bored. But it was also like a good practice for me. So theoretically, when Shadowlands comes out, you know, and no one has anything, I can estimate rough values. These are not exact. Rough values of what pieces of gear will give me for the secondary stats. Yeah, so then I combined it all. I included neck procs, which all basically are these. This is what my neck is going to look like. So I included neck procs in the calculation to meet the breakpoints, because without the neck procs, these actually, as you see, they give an insane amount of stats. So without the neck procs, it's kind of fail. But yeah, so this is what my stat line ended up. I have a goal. This is what this is. My goal is 60% haste, 40% verse on the low end, 80% haste, and 60% verse on the high end. So here you can see I'm off on my haste, but, well, I would theoretically be off, blah, blah, blah. I'm lower on the verse, whatever. Okay, so then I just did corruption breakdown. I did a calc of how many amps I would need, 12% amps. And then, yeah, so this is all theory crafting. Okay, so thing to explain really quick. First off, this random shit, this was some estimation I did for how much a relevant item level is going to increase the secondary stats, and I did this using the dungeon tool. It goes up every 15 item levels, so that's the way used. You do 198 haste, and then you do 188 haste, and that's 10 haste, and then you do this. Okay, that's 10 haste again. So a couple problems. First off, because I don't have the other pieces, I can't see if there's some sort of scaling. For example, 280 verse, 297 verse, that's 17 verse, and then 312 versatility, which is 15 versatility, so that's something that's weird. That's not linear. And then I don't know if it'll increase later. Like, I don't necessarily know. 3, I don't think is enough of data, considering there's this discrepancy. But I can estimate from this. I can get a baseline that there's 10 haste increase in like 15 to 17 verse. I think I put 17 here. I did. This is also the case with this ring. And as you can see, they have flipped main stat, off stat, or like secondary stat thing of like percentage. So the other problem with calculations is I had to do this individually for all the pieces of gear because there's no general rule, and this is because everything has different ratios. So that some of them are like close to 50-50, some of them are like 60-40, and then the numbers would change based on that. Furthermore, the items are giving different numbers of secondary stats. So, and this is wrong, by the way. This should be, I forgot to put 2 rings here. This is supposed to calc the relevant stat weights, or the amount of secondary stats I lose by going down 15 item levels. So if this was 460 instead of 475, I would lose 127 total stats, which, as you can see, would be a negligible difference. So the lesson I learned from that is that it is more important to have the item itself than to have a high item level piece for it in terms of secondary stats. The problem with that, of course, is if you see here 504 stamina, let me click on this. This is the problem, 430 stamina. So you lose 74 stamina, roughly. This is, I think, 73. 30, or no, actually, yeah, this one's like 60, right? 33, yep, it's 63, right? So that's another thing, is I think there's scaling stamina, but that's hard. But yeah, it must be because we get such high HP values. But basically, the stamina is the big killer for item level, which is why theoretically you would still want higher item level, ignoring any sort of gushing wound mechanic. Okay, so that's what this is, and I did this for every piece that I wanted, which are all listed here. Yep. And then the other calc I did was I got a rough estimation of how much 1% of a stat value would be in its flat amount, and I did this by taking my haste level. I did 1,188, which is my, I guess it's higher now. At the time, it was about 1,188, and then it was 17.54. So but when I took the tally, it was 17.47. Obviously, I do this number divided by this number, and then I get 1%. You get 68 if you do it, roughly. And then I tested furthermore what you can just do. I did this is like, so I'm going to stack up my focusing iris, and then you have a new value. You can do these numbers divided. You can do 1598 divided by 23.50, and you can get, it comes out to an extremely similar number. I did that. I don't know how high, if there are diminishing returns, what point they are at, but they are not at least within the 6% difference. So that might be too marginal of a number to tell. Obviously, another thing here, you can go look up a character sheet with a high amount of a stat, if you know of one of them, and you can just see if the rule works that way. I didn't do that. I'm doing this in like an isolated test situation for, I guess, my own personal gain. Trying not to use the fact that the patch has been out forever and there's tons of information known, so it's kind of emulating a situation where we don't have a lot of information and I just have to use my own abilities. Anyway, so this is what I came up with for my character. As you can see, the haste and versatility are different weights. So yeah, that's that calc. And so that's what this represents. 60% is 5,100 highest roughly. 40% is assuming there's not diminishing return calc that I don't know about. Oh yeah, I got to do this warning. I cannot calculate PvP pieces because I don't have a list of them in game. Technically, of course, once again, I can go look up stuff, but there's no way to actually get a listing of PvP pieces, because you can always choose from 4, and you only see these one at a time, and they're like random drops. So that's something that you can't really. There's no resource to look at, which is kind of annoying. I don't know if there's a better Azurite piece. That's the main thing. Anyway, I think those are. Last calc, I guess, here is basic percent calculation. So 60% is this number, 40% haste. These are haste values. To get how much corruption you need, you basically, so this 4 times 12 is, what, 48%? Increased haste, is that correct? Yeah, 40% increased haste. So to get to 4,000 from 2763, I don't remember exactly which one I did. Let me pull it up really quick. I think I did it like, obviously if you do math, actually, you'd know. So I think it was like, I did I do it like this? Divided. I think I did it like this, and it works out. I did the larger number of my goal for haste value minus my current haste value with no versatility amps, and then I took the result and then divided it by the current this is haste. Sorry, the haste that I have, haste stat, to get how much of a percentage of the current stat I have would this equals. Wait, you guys can't see this, can you? Wait. You guys can't see this shit. Okay, here it is. Sorry, I should show this. Fuck. Okay, so basically I took 4,080 minus 2763. This is my current haste value. This is what I want. Then I took the result and divided it over to get what percent of this I need to increase. This is not an exact calculation. I'm not entirely sure how the amps work. So like if you put a 12% amp on, then the next 12% is probably like exponentially buffing it, maybe, I don't know. This is just an extremely rough calculation. I did not want to move that. But yeah, so that's basically how I came up with how many corruption pieces I need, because as you can see, this is 48%, which would be 4 haste amps. So anyway, I think those are the calculations I did. So basically what I ended up with was, if I wanted to get this character to the point that I want it to be at, and of course I need to discuss this in a second, why I chose haste and versatility, and why you could choose whatever things you wanted. But in order to get the stats up to where I want them to, I would need 6 pieces of corruption, which the total corruption, because each of the 12% amps are 20 corruption, wait, 6 times, it should be 120, right? I guess I did that wrong. Whatever. I think they're each 20. So, yeah. Anyway, basically, and this is the total amount of corruption resistance you're gonna get, and this is how much corruption you can put on if you use a main hand and an off hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I did that calculation correct. So this is 6. Completely possible. It is entirely possible if I had full BIS gear to reach my predictions or what I desired on my character for haste and versatility. If I wanted to get the highest possible, it's impossible. If I wanted to get this number, it's impossible because I need too many amplifications. And I calced, by the way, I calced a relatively high level neck and a max rank cloak. And then I added, like I said, I added neck procs. So basically for me, I have Visions Major, which is 142 haste and then 100 versatility. If it's up, this is permanent 400 haste. And then this is not permanent, but usually up, I can't do math. Yeah, it's like 420, what, 436 or something. Technically you can just do this, but what in the fuck happened there? 62 times 8, 490, is that what it was? I'm an idiot. Okay, so I can't do math, but that's why I have a calculator. So basically it's 496 versatility if it's max, and then this is another 400 verse. So this is basically this is extremely optimistic calculation. Anyway, it's impossible to reach the thing. So then I was like, okay, what if I have overwhelming powers up, max stacked, which on Mythic you can just check right here. If you find a piece, I forget which one has overwhelming powers. Does this one have it? No. Carapace. Okay, so is this no? It's normal. Yeah. There you go. So it does 34 haste per stack, 25 stacks at max. You're not gonna have max up, so this is not accurate, but it's optimistic. So basically, if I have 2 overwhelming powers instead of 3, and they're up, then I can use 9 total corruption using the rest on versatility to get the breakpoints that I desire. Okay, so that's theoretically possible. Now the problem I ran into, first of all, you cannot have 3 arcane missile traits, which I am playing arcane missile build, not arcane blast build. You cannot get 3 overwhelming powers unless there's some PvP thing that I haven't seen yet. So you can only get up to 2 overwhelming powers, but it's suboptimal. And then, yeah, basically going for the extra overwhelming power is not the desire. You get a bad trait. I forget which piece it's on, but you basically get a shitty trait automatically. So I would not go for that personally, as I say here. This is like, basically, I would rather go for this and add an extra slot. So I would not go Gushing Wound with the extra. Gushing Wound is only good at 4 or 5 stacks after the nerf, and I don't plan on getting that much. But Leech, I think, is secret OP for Arcane. And that will transition into why I have chosen these stats at all. So basically this character, Arcane Mage, it is a haste scaler, insanely hard. It channels Evocate faster, it channels missiles and casts faster, it has a better GCD, and even more importantly, in PvP you get polymorphs off. So one of the biggest problems with having this kind of shitty baseline haste, since my character has not the correct gear, even though he's a lot of haste first gear, the rings are missing. I'm missing 1 haste on a ring, and I don't have a mythic, though that's a proc. Yeah, I'm missing a weapon too, so a ring and a weapon are kind of killing me. But basically, having a slow casting polymorph in PvP is a disaster of a game on Arcane. And also, if you have higher haste when you get the polymorph off, you can do more damage in the window of the polymorph. You cast faster. It also makes your clear castings faster, and clear casting with Arcane Pummeling trait is the most damage that you're going to be doing, because you also, of course, run this. And so haste is basically actually a better stat scaler for Arcane Missile, and it's better in PvP for polymorphs to get damage off in CC windows, etc., etc. The one detriment of haste generally is that you drain your mana like crazy. Normally, if you play Arcane Blast, you can get some more mastery, but you also have a mana-efficient playstyle with Arcane Blast where you can do 4 Arcane Blasts using Rule of 3, and then a Arcane Barrage, and you can basically do that at negative mana. I, of course, if you've seen my other videos, have doing a strategy where I use Arcane Barrage after every missile, unless I have Arcane Power Up, of which I, why is my game lagging out? Of which I just spam Arcane Missile super hard during Arcane Power, because it's mana efficient using Overpowered. So that's the reason you choose haste, or I choose haste. It's also really good in AoE for getting your GCD low, of course. Yada yada yada. So it's functional, it's powerful, it's extremely high damage, and it lets you play your character really well. So overall, I think haste is like one of the best stats in PvP or PvE. But most importantly, it fixes a PvP problem with the character, which is getting your CC off your polymorph, having a fast cast time, because Arcane gets punished for being kicked on Arcane really badly. And also, well, not also, but basically you're not going to have a lot of windows of opportunity to get the polymorph off. And so it's very important to get it off fast. Faster the better. No one can really interact with you. If it's too fast, it's harder to kick. And also, if you know their kick is down, you have like a... If you have like a long cast, it's eating up time. of their kick being down. So the faster cast, the less chance they have to get kicked back and kick you. The versatility is probably questionable, so normally I might think about going Mastery. I know they're going Crit on Arcane Blast. I just wanted a flat damage amplification, but because until Shadowlands this doesn't work with Arcane Missile, I don't even know if I'd go in Shadowlands. You can't go Mastery, so versatility is a flat damage increase, and it's also a damage reduction. The healing done is nice. The damage reduction, as I believe the Chinese Mythic Plus players showed, is extremely powerful, as well as running the avoidance stat in high Mythic Plus keys so that you don't get one-shot by certain mechanics. And so, in my opinion, if you're running serious Mythic Plus keys, most characters are going to have some way to mitigate the absurd cheap damage that they do. And in an endgame character, versatility or some other method is going to be the best way to deal with that. So Arms Warrior can go D-stance with Resounding Protection, etc., etc. On Arcane, I think versatility is the best way to deal with the damage reduction. Currently, you get damage from it. It's flat, very powerful for an Arcane Missile build, which I'm running, so that's a bit more niche. But yeah, and then you also get the added benefit of being very tanky and you don't die to random mechanics if you ever push keys. And then, of course, in PvP, it's extremely powerful, so you're not so squishy. Arcane Mage is extremely squishy in PvP, and it gets a lot of its damage reduction from kiting and never being touched. But what I've run into with like Feral Druids is characters that have either a lot of uptime or dots, they just crush the character. Like, it's extremely difficult to play or kind of on a timer, so I think versatility is something that counters that. For that reason, I think Haste and Verse outvalue every other set, which is just Crit and Mastery. I haven't really got a priority. I think there's just a level of haste where your GCD is capped and you cast fast. You don't want too much haste because then you will yourself like crazy with this build. And then the versatility is like probably just max out on Verse. So then I have a couple open slots, which I decided to go Leech instead of you could go Avoidance as well, as I say here. Well, at least that's my plan. Alternatively, you can just go a full DPS, max Corruption on Amps, and just do a stat bot character. But I think the Leech, if you have 3 Leech, which are 5%, to get to 15% Leech, I think that would be optimal for the character. Also, maybe getting Leech on random procs on gear, which of course is very unreliable because this game is completely RNG. But yeah, so I think Leech is the way to go. It would be really good in PvP, and it's just a general quality of life. Otherwise, if you want the flat damage reduction, you could go Avoidance. You could go 3 Gushing Wound. I wouldn't really recommend it. I think if you're going Gushing Wound, you might as well just tack on some extra amplifications. So, yeah, that is this. So this, to wrap up this fucking thing, basically, I was really bored. I haven't really been able to play. I haven't gotten queues. I set up some sort of sketchy math to theorycraft like an endgame version of this character. I'm going to use this method if I care enough in Shadowlands or any other game that I play, basically, to like just know exactly what I'm going to get. This also kind of, the main reason people don't do this, I feel like, is because people don't know what is best. I notice a lot of the streamers who are on beta are saying things like, we don't know what's best, we don't know what's best. So for me here, I'm not arguing that this is the best build. This is the build that I want to play. So I'm focusing on getting a character together that I like, that I think is good, that I want to play. And so because I'm grounding basically my shit in myself, I can now decide what I want very easily without worrying about community opinion hugely. So then I can pull up a list of all the fucking pieces of gear, looking through the dungeon journal and the raid. I'm only getting 2 pieces from Nyalotha. These are from the Titan Residium vendor. And I should say the goal with the traits is, of course, to be generic for every circumstance. So I wanted to get Explosive Echo and Arcane Pummeling on everything. Technically, this is suboptimal because in single target, this is actually useless. And in AoE, this is virtually useless. But it's still the way that I like to play, so I'm just going to do it, right? And my game is lagging out like crazy for some fucking reason. Wow, that is some insane ping, bro. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's because I'm recording. Who knows? Yeah, so basically, the game is kind of a joke. The problem is not that I don't know what I want to do or what I would like to do if I had the opportunity, because I put this together in a couple of minutes, maybe an hour max, just to look up stuff, and it's not even that accurate. It's this. the stipulations of getting all this gear at like 475 or even 465 are very low and a massive pain in the ass. Getting this much Residium, getting the mythic kill for these, they're basically just never going to happen. So that's something that really disappoints me about current BFA, is how I actually have a really good idea of a character I'd want to play, but I'm never going to be able to play it, most likely, especially as a solo player, since I don't have a guild or any like groups to run with or anything. So anyway, yeah, so this is a theorycraft video. I just didn't have anything else to do, and I needed to put my energy towards something while I can't get into queues. A fun advantage to this is now I just queue Atal and King's Rest, but I'm not getting into anything, of course. But basically, you can just go to the group finder, and you can just be like, well, I already know what I want, so let me just Atal Desar. King's Rest, yeah, I mean, I might start queuing these later tonight. I don't think I'm going to get into any because most of them are higher keys than my character can get into, of course. Even though I could play it, the community won't invite me because my item level is too low for them. And checking IO and stuff, the IO on this character sucks, etc. So that's a huge problem. And then, yeah, I mean, I just DPS slots, etc., etc. So there you go. Yeah, I don't know what the other point of this video is, but there it is. Thanks for watching, I guess. Yeah, peace out and all that.